It's an okay day in SimWorld, everybody. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Of course, it's a great day in SimWorld. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to SimWorld Today. I'm B-Ron. Alongside me, as always, the Laugh Master himself. Yells, good morning. How you doing? Good, good, good. Well, look, yesterday was an interesting day for basketball and some world prep as always. So let's go ahead and let's jump right into things, shall we? First, the AT Aliens and Indy Stripes met up in a game that revolved around two big names, Dylan Harper and Royce Anderson. And, there was a lot of talk about these two coming into the game and, how they'd match up. And Leah Lara got up, showed the bunny there in the third as we take back in time to the first quarter of the game, though. The Stripes came out early and, they had a little bit of a lead, but really, it was the AT Aliens who dominated a good chunk of this first quarter with a lot of help from that man, Royce Anderson.
Yeah, it was Royce Anderson who dominated a lot of this first quarter in the first half, where it looked like the AT Aliens were going to just run away with this, simply run away. Defense looked good. Offensively, they were getting to spots, getting whatever they want, and Indy did not look composed at all. So, of course, I think all of us look at Trayvon Patrick. They're just unnecessary spin moves by late money. But yeah, second quarter rolled on. It was much of the same 10-point lead. At this point, they corral it all, or not corral, they push it up to 13. I think they had a lead as large as 15 at one point. There you see a 14-point lead for ATL. Indy had some bright spots there. Big time block there by Orion Toomey. I like to call him the light-skinned JoJo Kearney. But yeah, he does his thing. And there's more Royce Anderson. Leads up to 16 going into the second quarter. But B-Ron, second half, different story. We'll talk about it there in a minute. BP doing this thing.
41-25, they were really, really rolling here in the first half. And I said it was going to be a long night if, they didn't get rolling. But, Reza Red, Dylan Harper, they eventually did get going in that second half and here in the third quarter especially.
Broken play right there, Dylan Harper, who did struggle for much of the night. We'll get back to that. But he struggled, broken play. Oh, Royce.
Oh, my goodness.
Anderson.
Absolutely disgusting.
Pink eye. Anyone like pink eye? Yeah, he did his thing right there. But if you look down there, the score closing out the third quarter, it's a 6-point game for the AT Aliens. And it's pretty close. They extended back to 12. I believe they closed out the third quarter with either, a 12, 11, 10-point lead. But the fourth quarter is where things got really interesting, B-Ron. Really interesting.
Yeah, the fourth quarter was really when things started to turn around for Indy, and the Stripes got going in the fourth. And we're going to see a little bit here.
Yeah,
they have the lead here.
Speed forward, they had the lead, B-Ron, but they got to that lead with defense. We're going to see the offensive highlights here, but it was an awful lot of defense from late money, hustle, effort, play, resurrect, things like that on the glass, just getting after it for putback buckets. Indy played their heart out. They played for their coach tonight.
Yeah, they really did. They did, which we will come back to that as well later on here in the show. But, it really was a tale of two halves, Yells, in this first game. And a lot of heart shown from Indy, and you love to see it, especially with everything going on for them leading up to the game today.
JJ Hoops!
JJ Hoops, Dylan Harper, and the boys led the way to Indy coming back and getting the win in that one. And again, gotta talk about the heart that Indy showed in that game, because they did not start out well at all, and it looked like they were gonna fall flat on their faces, but they ended up getting it together, ended up winning 71-63.
It's called a character game, B-Ron. These are kind of games that build character. I talked about it on the broadcast. I'm really big on how this game played out. Some of my favorite players, some of my favorite people in history are the ones that overcame something. If it was always gravy, what was the struggle? If it was always hard, then there was a problem. But if it was a struggle at some point, you overcame it. I love those stories. That's where characters made. That's where winners are made in life and on the basketball court. And these kids overcame quite a
Yeah.
bit in a just a 12-hour period yesterday to come out and compete the way that they did.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very impressed by that. And, we're also impressed by the Bay Area Breakers in the second game of our recaps here because they were up against Beyond the Arch. And we talked yesterday about how, this was a must-win game for the Breakers early in the season to kind of both right the ship and maybe convince, everyone and themselves maybe that, they are going to be a good competitive team this season, and they did a
Mm.
lot of that in this game. It's Trey Hyman catching an alley oop and showing some ball handling point guard skills here, doing all himself. Monster jam from Trey Hyman.
He's such a versatile kid. When you get him playing without the ball, he can make a lot of things happen. Jamie Ramos.
Yeah,
Jamie
right.
Ramos. Those guys connected like we thought they would. And this guy playing so much better than he did last season. He struggled last season.
Hardaway, yeah. Really did struggle last season, but turning it around so far. And Bay Area really they looked like the best we've seen them look this season as they won that game last night against Beyond the Arch 76-70. We spoke about it yesterday, Yells, about how they had to win by a big margin to kind of convince us that we don't need to hit the panic button just yet. They won by 6 though. Are we still inching closer to the panic button, or are we backing off a little bit now?
I'm not
I'm backing. Personally, I haven't moved all the way back. If my finger was close, it's backed up a little bit.
Well,
Not a lot.
I'll say I'm not off the panic button. They won. I didn't need them to win in a blowout fashion, but I needed them to control the game throughout. They started this game out poorly as well.
Win.
13 points in the first quarter. They got outscored in the first quarter. They came back in the second, the third, and they closed out in the fourth with the start to the game. That's another reason why they didn't win in the way that we thought they would last season, because they got out to slow starts very often, where they tried to figure things out. So I'm not hitting the panic button, but I'm not taking my hand away from the panic button. It's sitting right here.
Yeah.
I'm ready to hit the buzzer when Steve Harvey asks us what the question is on Family Feud. That's what I'm saying. I'm ready.
Okay, I got you there.
Trey Hyman, 23 points. That's what we expect him to do. So good kudos to the face of the league and the face of the team. 20 points for Dime Hardaway, who's starting to show out here this season. It's just really showing us what he's all about as a player. Kudos to him, but there's a slew of other guys I'm still interested to see what they can do. Shout out Jamie Ramos, though. Jamie Ramos had a solid game, 9 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists in extended minutes. It looks like he's kind of moved around his position on how he's being utilized on that court. But I'm still waiting for Daquan Carter. I'm still waiting for Jawan Harris. Sean Hyman only 4 points. It's too many mouths, and I just want to see a consistent approach. If it's going to be all Trey Hyman all day, good. But I don't think that's going to be good enough.
Yeah. Like I said, we get this talk. There's a whole lot of talk we could have about that, which I do want to save for a later date, perhaps. But let's get into our third and final recap of the show. Cascadia taking on the Bay Area Breakers. And, man, this one was another one where Best Coast came out and struggled out the gate early. Cascadia used their athleticism to their advantage early. Jason Holbrook was impressive all game, really. And, they led. They had a 20-9 lead. You'll see it. I'm sure you'll see it here later. But right now, that three-pointer there from Halliday made it 18-7. And, 20-11 here, ending the first quarter. Cascadia looked amazing in that first quarter of play.
Absolutely dominant is what they look like. I think Maestro said it on the broadcast, and I know you had the luxury of calling with the the great maestro, the great one himself.
Absolutely.
They can get it done all over the court. I know very early on, or in later, whatever you want to call it, during the off season, a lot of us said they look like they could be the team to beat. Like they look like they could be that good. And then the media cycle continues, and there's new things that pop up. Someone says something ignorant, and you pivot, right? And the whole media shifts. But looking at them again, they can do it from the inside with Jason Holbrook, who's just as good at advertised. I know I put that out there on blast, so I'll pat myself on the back there. Look, we see him there putting the ball on the floor and shooting a jumper. Not what you want to see, but it's in the bag. It's in the repertoire. Ooh, that's nasty by Arlo Cook. But they can get it done on the inside. We saw a combination of Holbrook, obviously Tyree Wells, and Q Dozier as well. And is it Cameron Howerton? Howerton the third. I don't know how rich this kid is. Whatever it is. Them getting it done on the inside. And then you see shots like that from Tyshawn McGrady. You see Daniel Irvin getting it going when he needs to. And you know who we did not hear from tonight because it wasn't necessary. The reigning, defending, considered one of the top 3-5 players in SimWorld Prep, just making a name. Everyone's been all up in arms about the dunk god this season, but he's gotten to fall back because plays like that happen. Tyree Wells is just taking it out of people's hands, cramming it down on their heads, and then in between all of that B-Run, this team was getting it done, getting defensive stops when needed, out there running the break. Where people were filling the lanes. They did everything right. I took this long way en route to this segment because they did everything correct that you can do in a basketball game in this win over the West Coast Ballers.
Yeah, they did everything right, and this was one of those total team victories, Everybody comes together, everybody plays their role, regardless of what it is, and they all help the team get to the ultimate goal of the game, which is to win the game. And they really started to pull away in the third quarter late in the third. Once they figured it out in the fourth, they got back to what they did in the first quarter, using their athleticism to really kind of, again, just balloon the lead out. And then West Coast on the other end, they started to falter because they started to force the issue too much.
But look at that, like they're right there, B-Ron. I don't want to let anybody off the hook or miss the mark here. The athleticism is what we've talked about. We talk about the shot making. We talk about Tyree Wells, but just a couple plays ago, and plays like that, Jason Holbrook, along with other ones, they outworked West Coast Ballers. They outworked these kids. They said, hey, we're more talented, but we know talent alone is not going to get it done, so we're going to outwork this squad, and that's what they did for 32 minutes.
Yeah, they did. They sure did, and, you're going to see just a little more of it here. There's Daniel Irvin coming in and making an impact on this game as well, and they also, if I may add, held West Coast to a season low, 46 points.
Final
was 72-46.
Hey, Coach Drayton, you say we never mentioned you guys. We're going to mention you now. The previous low was Beast of the East from game 1 of the season.
Careful.
But you no longer hold the illustrious record defending champs that now belongs to the West Coast Ballers, have the best or the worst scoring output of the season so far. So, yeah, Cascade getting it done offensively and defensively. First team sitting at 3-0 in SimWorld Prep.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. And, so you look about West Coast and them putting up their worst performance, which, funnily enough, comes right after their best offensive performance, but they put up 71 against Bay Area. So to go from one extreme to the other extreme is just wild to me.
Yeah, you know what else is wild is how you just snuck in there making up a word and thinking I'm not going to say anything about it. Funnily, ladies and gentlemen, today, the word of the day for Wednesday is funnily.
I snuck it in there. Almost got it by you, man. Almost. So close getting it by you, man. But you know what didn't get by us yesterday because it couldn't have? The drama between Coach Shiragane and Coach Dries Williams that happened yesterday. A little spat on social media. They got into it. Somebody said it was amicable or whatever word they used to make it seem like it was a a positive thing or a less serious thing than what you thought it was. I didn't see it. I didn't see it at all. I saw two coaches that were going at each other and calling each other out of their names, so to speak, and that didn't sit right with me. But I want to not focus on that for a minute. I want to focus on the other side of it, and because we have to remember these are 15, 17-year-old kids and their parents involved that are entrusting their kids to these coaches. If you're a parent, be it on the team currently or looking to be in the future, are you concerned by the actions of these coaches from yesterday? Knowing already that one of them has already had issues, prior to.
Well, glad you should ask. Funnily enough, that you should
Yeah,
ask,
there
D.
we
Ron.
go. See, I told
Um, yeah, I will start. I know we said we don't want to touch on it yet, but I have gotten word. I'm a little plugged in that there's probably going to be some. There's going to be some punishment handed down here today at some point this morning. We're hearing from the league. So what that entails, I guess we will all find out. But if I'm the parent of one of these kids, which my son just started playing organized basketball. He's 9, but he's the size of a 6-year old. But he's a cool little dude. He just started playing organized basketball literally just a couple of days ago. And there's a coach out there. I didn't make it to the first practice, but I'll be headed there afterwards. If I find that I've sent my son to go play for a coach who's just carelessly reckless, a lot of kids have a lot of parents have their kids in sports, not just because they're good, but they got involved in these things because they wanted them to see some semblance of structure, correction, hard work, and just character items. So if I'm sending you to go play for someone and they're showing some character flaws, that's challenging. That's challenging for me. And then you bring up the fact that where you say one of them has had an altercation before. So on one end, you do see one guy, regardless of the reason, you see one side where he's gotten into it with the owner of the team who cuts the checks, and now a competitor. You start to wonder who do you get along with, and how long before this falls onto the kids, and those
right.
type of interactions happen with the kids. So I do have concerns if I'm a parent of anyone on these squads.
Yeah, and same here. I am not a parent, but I am an uncle. Same thing in my book,
Hey, and a lot of stuff in
in
the
some
hood, a lot
regard.
of stuff in the hood be run. Unks doing more than the parents. Big Unk come
Yeah,
through. So
yeah. So yes, I would also be concerned if my niece wasn't a situation like that. I would be concerned as well. I wouldn't want her to be around that kind of environment either. So yeah, uh, we'll see what the result of the suspension or whatever it is gonna be. Hopefully, regardless, everybody comes out from this and learns from it and is better going forward because that's also part of this whole thing too.
yeah,
As if we're holding players accountable, we have to hold the coaches accountable too,
to a higher
and
standard, to a
to a
higher
higher
standard, and
standard.
we'll
Absolutely,
just
to a
go on
higher
record
standard.
and say, this SimWorld Prep League is really shined a spotlight on prep basketball. We say that all the time. It's really big in community, and it has a lot of growth. So as this league continues to look to grow, to bring in advertisers, to bring in more money to the product, to bring in things to expand these teams, get these kids deals. Things worked out for the future. They come in and they see that type of language, that type of action. It's a detraction from the league. So as a coach, you're not just representing yourself. You're not just representing getting some wins. You're not just representing the kids and their families. You're not just representing that team and the ownership group. You're representing an entire league. And I do like that the league is looking into doing something about that because the environment has to be healthy.
Exactly, 100%, agree. So look, let's get out of here with the quick round of over under yells. We have four.
That's what a couple of my lady friends call it. It's the over under yells.
Oh no! Oh my goodness! Look, we got four undefeated teams playing today: Philadelphia, the Originators, Heartland, and Rocky Mountain. Uh, how many of those teams will be left undefeated after tonight's games?
3.
Three. Okay. Starting the over under at all right. So four. All right. So three. Okay. Three. I like that.
Philadelphia, the
Okay.
Originators, and the Rocky Mountain.
Those are my picks too, believe it or not. Those are my picks too. I think Heartland is in for a tough they had a tough matchup against Gotham 5. I know that Gotham hasn't really played too well to begin the season, but I feel like this could be a spot for them to uh maybe surprise some people. If they can get a win against Heartland, I think that would certainly help, and I think that they have potential to do it. But I also think that reigning Trays are no slouches either against Rocky Mountain. I think it'll be another one of those close last minute games. They might need to do a repeat of Saturday.
Hey, I'm picking my teams based on the ones that are playing team ball, and no, I'm not shocked that you picked the same teams as me, B. Ron, because as they say, genius does rub off.
Fair. You're right. You're right. Hey, look, we've been doing it so long enough, right? That it's bound to happen sooner or later, right? Well, look, thank you all so much for tuning in to SimWorld today. We really, really appreciate you guys. I'll be back tomorrow with another show. We got games tonight. Again, just really quick, want to go over those really quick. Beats of the East and Philadelphia playing at 7 p.m. tonight on SimWorld TV. Gulf Coast Lockdown at SimWorld Hoops at 8 p.m. on SimWorld TV. And then the reigning Trays will play Rocky Mountain at 9 p.m. on SimWorld TV. I'll be on the call for the first two games for those. So if you like my voice and hearing it here, tune in later on tonight and you'll hear more of it. Until then, you guys, remember, SimWorld is the only place where you can see the game, be the game. We'll see you tomorrow.